Good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. Before we get started, be sure to check out our homeschoolyokidsexpo.com. Check out our traveling schedule for this year. We have some really great locations we're going to for 2025, so be sure to check out that schedule. And remember, homeschooling was never meant to be done alone. It takes a village. So major shout out to a couple of our sponsors that are making sure that you find your tribe. So great appreciation to Classical Conversations, which is a national curriculum provider. They also provide community support. And also a great, huge appreciation to Basecamp, which is an amazing new app. It's free to download, and you can find community, you can find tutors, mentors, um, art classes, like things of that nature. So it's pretty cool. So check them out also. But today we have with us Maria, Nicole, and Gladys. Introduce yourself, ladies.
Hi, I'm Gladys. I'm a nationally accredited school psychologist, and I'm a co-founder of Growing Nurtured Minds.
Hi, I'm Nicole Soto. I'm a social worker and a certified yoga instructor, and I'm also the co-founder of Growing Nurtured Minds.
I'm Dr. Maria Diana. I am an educational therapist and also one of the co-founding members of Growing Nurtured Minds.
Okay, ladies. All right. So I see a common ground, social work and psychology. Okay. So how do we get here? How do we get this bond going? And we're just like, okay, you know what, guys, we got to do this. How do we get here?
Funny story. Actually, we're coworkers, and we met at a school that we were both working at. Right here. Yeah, we all work at a school that we currently work at. We met, and we made the child study team, right? And anyone who knows special education schools know the child study team. And we had lots of like internal conversations about cases that we had. We're just like, the system is
Broken.
broken. It's not working for our kids. What can we do? And every day we'll like crack jokes and say, and then we're like, no. So we actually have a picture to memorialize the day that we made a decision to be a part of that change.
Yeah. Anyone want to add? Go ahead.
So the purpose behind Growing Nurtured Minds is really to take all of our three backgrounds. So we have cognitive understanding, we have educational, and we have social emotional, and combine it into one. Because when we're working with students, it's not just one piece of the puzzle. And when we're trying to piecemeal or treat one piece, we're not really treating the child as a whole. So we wanted a whole child holistic approach. And we know that with learning comes that emotional piece, and we know that also comes with a cognitive piece. And so sometimes just trying to fix one piece is not enough. So really, all of our programs are rooted in understanding a child as a whole. So when parents come to us, they're coming to us because traditional tutoring hasn't worked. They tried like big box companies. They've tried to do it at home on their own. They might have seen like a speech pathologist or an occupational therapist or a developmental pediatrician, and they know that their child needs more support. And that's where we kind of step in, because our approach isn't just for the child, but it's also for the parent. So we offer a lot of parent coaching, support at home. We offer virtual services. We offer in person. And if we are not the right fit, we will help the parents and the family find the right fit for their student. Because at the end of the day, like, we're also a resource for our community. And we just want to make sure that students that are struggling don't struggle anymore.
To be honest with you, Jay, we just got frustrated. We got frustrated with all the system, the schools not individualizing these students. And that was heartbreaking to see these kids really struggle emotionally in the class because they got frustrated because they don't understand what they're doing and there's no one there to help them. Some of these kids, let's say, do have IEPs, and even the IEP that stands individualized education still does not provide that individual support that these kids need.
I think that post-pandemic has brought a lot of issues that were already at the surface. I think that teachers are overwhelmed, districts are underfunded, and I feel like we don't talk about alternative options for families because there's tons of alternative options. But again, like we just happen to be in the field of education. What happens to families that don't have that background, right? And so I think that even having parents being able to get educated on the process of educating your kids is also really important for us.
Indeed. So you ladies were on basically like an IEP team. Like, are you
Yeah,
ladies?
We are the
IEP
team.
That's what I
We're
was-
full IEP tax.
Okay, look, I'm following. Okay, so with what you have observed and noticed in the traditional school setting, you all felt that additional support was needed in regards to not just the child, but the parent also. And I love that. I feel like that's like a growing theme. Like people are recognizing, okay, we love the kids, but we got to do something about these adults too.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just additional support. I think it's different support. I think
Okay.
the support itself is not working, and I think that traditional schools are maybe afraid or worried about going in a different direction because it's really not meeting the needs of kids. Like kids are different than they were 10, 15 years ago, you know, and I've been in education for over 18 years. Like what it was when I first started as an educator to now, it's so different. And I just don't feel like education has caught up with that.
Mm.
And one thing that we do emphasize here at Growing Nurture Minds, we're not just looking at students that are IEP students. We're looking to individualize for every student. You have that gap of students that they're not high functioning, they're not low functioning, but then they're grade level. But how do we then, I guess, push them to learn, to challenge them? Because in the classroom, they're forgotten. They're the ones that there's no issue, they're not behavioral, they're getting B's and C's, but what about them? What more can we do for them as well? So we here at Grow Nurture Minds, we're looking at every student, trying to get to the niche of what every student needs so that they can get to the best of their abilities.
Okay, so are you all offering classes? Are you offering
Yes.
okay.
We offer a lot of different services. So we offer like comprehensive assessments. We offer one-to-one services for students with dyslexia or without dyslexia for reading and math support. We offer executive functioning support and coaching. We also offer social emotional learning groups and individualized classes with integrated yoga. And we also offer cognitive brain training.
Okay. All right. So, okay, and is this for all ages?
So we start as early, some of our programs start as early as like 2 and 3. So we do have programs for our younger kids that are play-based, that have a very holistic sensory play to it. And then we offer our cognitive training program and our executive functioning program starts for grades 3 and up.
Okay, so is this something that parents go through and schedule, or you all already have a schedule that parents pick from?
So we're very flexible. So parents can come to our website. They can book a free discovery call. We give them 30 minutes. We hear out, you know, whatever issues or challenges they may be facing, and then we determine like, can we even help? Are we even the right fit for them? And then from there we move on of like finding what best of our programs would be a good approach for the child.
Okay. What school setting are you all in now as far as like elementary, middle, high? Where you all were the IEP team? Like where were y'all?
Yeah, the elementary and the middle school.
Oh,
So
elementary and middle.
K through 8. Yeah, K through 8.
K through 8. How was your caseload?
So we work at a charter school currently.
Oh, okay.
So our caseload is not as huge as a public school setting, but the thing about the charter school setting is that because of the demographic that we are dealing with, you'll deal with the child academically, but their academics is because of maybe social, emotional, and environmental issues that they're dealing at home. So even if our caseload is 25, the weight of work that we do is equivalent to 60. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? So so we have
and I'm gonna be honest with you, just to piggyback off what Gladys said. There's a lot of parents out there that are in need. And a lot of parents that just don't know what the school setting looks like or should look like. They don't understand what's going on with their child emotionally because they're dealing with how they're going to pay their rent, how are they going to be able to put food on the table. And us as a team, we're dealing with, yes, academic, but we're also trying to fulfill that social need, right? Like, how are they going to eat? Well, how are they going to pay their rent next month? So it's a lot, and it is overwhelming to try to be able to provide all of that for families.
Yeah, and on a separate note, just because, I've done this for many years, the amount of students that have been classified have increased like tremendously post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Like global.
You said classified as what?
Tremendously. So like, for example, like you can probably triple the rate of students that are getting classified with a learning disability.
Oh, just a label in general. Okay.
Yeah, just a label in general. And we're still not
Gotcha.
post-pandemic. So, which says a lot of different things, because there's no really one thing that points it down to why there has been an increase. There are multiple things across the board. And I think that it's difficult. I mean, I'm a parent of a 2 and 4-year-old, so my educational journey for my kids is just starting. And I can tell you that in itself, it's hard to navigate, because again, what may be a good fit for one is not necessarily going to be a good fit for the other one. And I'm seeing that now at 2 and 4. So parents with multiple children, they have a lot to figure out of what is the best choice, and what may look right for one child may not necessarily be the right fit for the other child.
Indeed, indeed. And even with the the individualized educational plans, as a former teacher myself, I will say, one, I've sat in many of those meetings, and two, I've also, had a lot of those that I've had to sign off for and all that good stuff. But I will be honest with you, I didn't utilize them. Like I didn't, it wasn't necessarily like each day I'm checking to see, oh, okay, these 7 students, I need to make sure I do this, 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 and this for them. While, the other, 20 students or whatever, I didn't. It wasn't enough time or enough for thought process in general, like to be, remembering that. So it was just like, and then the extra teacher that was in there, I've had some good support, and I've had some, oh, why is she still here, y'all? She's asleep right now. Like she's asleep. I'm like, we're looking at her. The kids are recording her right now. Why is she here? So it's like I guess you see an attempt being made, possibly. Maybe the attempt is there, but then you also go back, the paperwork and the funding. So you kind of think like it's money driven, really. So is it really an attempt? I don't know.
I think it's unfortunate, to say the least. I think a lot of it is like lack of proper educational training for the staff. I think professional development plays a big role in teachers being able to understand students with learning differences and just how to differentiate in a general classroom as a whole. I mean, from a general ed perspective, that is not extensive amount of training that a general education teacher would even go through. Might as well like a teacher assistant in the classroom. So I think that if anything, schools really need to foster their funds towards professional development. And really having those teachers getting coached up on how to better provide resources for those students in the classroom.
And I'm sure a lot of them are just burnt out too, and they just also aren't getting that emotional support. How,
Right.
like we teach kids how to calm themselves down, right? When they're frustrated, but how do you calm yourself down? Do you know breathing techniques? Do you know how to ground yourself?
I know, and then that goes with the aspect of y'all looking at the adult and making sure the adult is trained correctly, because we're essentially models for the kids. So, if they're seeing us not being able to work through things, and
you can't expect a teacher to model something that she herself hasn't been trained or comfortable with. So I think that it always goes back to professional development. Like, what are we doing to best support these teachers so these teachers can best support these students in the classrooms?
And just to like piggyback on what you were saying earlier, the expectation and the reality of how we're supposed to go through this system of special education is very different. We learned in school how it's supposed to be, but when you come into the workplace, there's so many other factors that come into play that stunt the system that it's supposed to go through. So for example, you're saying like you're a gen ed teacher and then you have the help in the class, but when you're in school and you're told about what the help is supposed to look like and the reality of what that help becomes, it's completely different. So that's the system broken before it even began, right?
Yeah, because
And those kids are not.
I apologize, but
No.
the inclusion teacher has so much paperwork to do that you
Right.
can't really even like, they don't even really have time to be present for the student because they're so worried about the books that they have to have together and the paperwork they got to turn in or the IEP meeting they got to get ready for.
Yep.
So it's just like the servings of the child really doesn't happen. That's why I said it's more paperwork wise, but it's like, is it really an attempt? Is it really a real attempt at making sure the kids are being serviced, or is it just for funding?
I want to apologize to all teachers on behalf of the IP team. Trust me, we don't want the meetings at 9:15 a.m. The parents tell us we're 2:45. The parents give us their availability. Yeah. So I'm sorry for messing up your schedule. That's so true.
Yeah, they were never a thrill.
Yeah.
I know. Look, she said on the behalf of the IEP team.
She's right. She is right. The amount of complaints I get from teachers, oh, it's my lunch break. I'm so sorry.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No,
And
it is.
I think also to note is that we talk about inclusion teachers, but state to state differs, district to district, town to town. So even within a state, it's just every school district has different services that they provide. So it's not even unilateral, like across the 50 states, to say like this is what the model should look like, and like let's like work on making that model be efficient, because the model is different in every single school. Private schools, charter schools, traditional public schools. There's just no one right model, and so it's like, what is the best approach? Because I feel like no one has really found that and been able to replicate that, so it's actually working in schools. Because the population is so different from school to school.
Yeah.
Indeed, it
Even within
is.
special education itself.
Yes. And like you said, even within the city, within the district, like those schools all vary city to city, not only just state to state. So it is a lot to try to combat, but then we have the supplements or the alternative methods that are popping up from individuals in the educational system that are saying, okay, like y'all are having aha moments. So y'all basically took y'all huddle, because you know how we huddle after meetings and we, we talk about all the wrong stuff. Y'all took that wrong stuff and y'all found a solution for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. We became the solution. We wanted to become a solution. Like you said, we might not have everything for a parent, but you call us and then we will tell you what we have. And if not, we're really big on collaborating. Like what we're doing right now is making other connections in our communities so we can then move the parent. Oh, I think you would benefit from this. Let's push you. We're not trying to gatekeep. We're not trying to stray them wrong. This is a homeschool platform. Parents alone are not in the regular school system, right? Because like there's like people set aside to give them resources, right? So if we come into the homeschool population, we know that parents are looking for other things. They're looking for a breadth of resources that we are doing our due diligence to find in their communities for them.
Are y'all virtual? Like, is this a virtual service? Okay, but you'll also do in person.
Exactly.
Where are y'all located?
We are in Morristown, New Jersey.
Okay. Okay, New Jersey. Yes, yes. It's still cold there, isn't it? No. But yes, okay, so this is like my third interview in a row that I've had with an organization that is looking to not only just service the child, but service the adult. And in the sense of ensuring, like I believe it was Nicole, like in the middle. Look, that says social. Like, you were talking about the social needs of individuals, like where they're overworked, underpaid, having to, stress about the bills, having to stress about eating and things of that nature. And y'all are helping and providing services for that also.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
We just want to really provide services, wrap services around the child and the family. That's really what we're aiming to do, be that support and be able to connect all the pieces for the families.
So what was your observation within parents during your your IEP meetings and everything that set this on course? What was your observation to say, okay, no, we need to do something different beyond the child?
So what I've seen is they don't know. They don't know the process. And I'm going to be honest with you, like you mentioned before, it's a lot of signing and paperwork and language that they don't understand. Like, how many people know what a biopsychosocial is?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
What'd you say?
But really, a biopsychosocial is simply, we're talking about your kid, their upbringing, medical issues, educational concerns, something very simple. It's the interview between a social worker and a parent that gets drafted in a report. A lot of the times parents don't know that, and it's so overwhelming for them. So our job is that we break it down to them in a way that they can understand. Sometimes we even include pictures and we give them samples. Maria's fantastic at providing resources for parents and books for the kids to read at home. And it's just, that's honestly my observation is that a lot of the parents just don't know. They don't know that their child is dyslexic, and they'll say, oh, he just doesn't understand, he doesn't get it, or he's refusing to do the work. That's like key language, refusing, he's refusing. And then Maria comes, she does an assessment, and she comes to our team and says, no, this kid's dyslexic.
And they don't know. And one thing I want to add is parents don't know who to trust. So they get to the point where they hear all this information, and then they'll sign, and then they're like, so can you tell me again what I just said? Like, but we just explained it to you, because that's where the trust factor comes into play. So they don't know to trust the system because maybe their kid just transferred from a different school, and those teachers, and we have so many cases where we see an IEP, and then you see how these schools have described a student, and then they come and we're just like, that's the kid, that's
See that.
we don't see that. Different place, different student, maybe. Or that school just didn't take the time to really get to know the kid and the parent.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I can't tell you how many times, because our IEP meeting could be about an hour and a half, depending on like the evaluations that we have. But halfway through, I always make it a point to stop. I look at mom and dad and I say, how are you doing? Do you have any questions now? I just want you to know that you are a great parent. The minute I say that, you see tears. Because I think I'm a parent, I have 3 kids myself. And I feel like as parents, we don't get told that we're doing a great job, or that it's okay that we don't have it all together. It's okay that we have about 100 gray hairs popping in because we're so stressed. It's okay.
No, girl, I got some new ones. Yes.
I also think like on the flip side for the parents that like do go in armed, right? And they understand or best of their ability, or is the school even providing the right service? Does the school even have the resources to be providing the service that the student needs? And I think that sometimes becomes the biggest battle between a parent and a school district, where we're not all on the same page. And obviously, like, I feel from a parent's perspective, like a parent's lens, you know your child best. And you know in your heart what is best for your child in order to thrive. Then from a school side perspective, it may not meet that, right? Because it's like, this is all we can provide because this is the best that we have within our resources. And sometimes there is such a miscommunication between the parent and the school district on what is best for the student. And I feel like that causes a lot of tension because, like you said, it does take a village for us to give students the best support, to give them the best opportunities to be autonomous, successful, independent learners. Because at the end of the day, like, that's a wish for every child, right? Regardless of age, yeah, right? That's all we that's all parents want. We want our child to be successful.
Mhm.
You know, we want them to be independent and we want to know that they're happy and they can make it out on their own. But how do we do that? Because there's so
Indeed.
many different avenues. And what works
Right. And then we
for
also
them.
have to, you got to think about the trauma that parents themselves have with school, like that from their experience in itself. And I know a lot with a lot of the things that these kids go through are generational, whereas you know their parents have this type of experience and they may not be able to read, or they're reading on this you know, a low grade level, things of that nature, and it carries on because like you said, they don't necessarily know how to support or where necessarily to begin with, or even knowing that there is an option to get
And breaking
additional.
that cycle is very difficult. Like we're first generation women.
Yep.
Maria's first generation Italian, I'm first generation Honduran, and Gladys is first generation
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
Mhm.
So we understand that we dealt with our parents not speaking the English language and learning how to speak English here.
Yep.
So
Oh,
we went to
wow.
school basically figuring it out on our own. I had no idea what financial aid was. I went to a public high school. My high school never really walked me through that process or told me, hey, Nicole, you have these different outlets that you can go to for higher education. I had no idea. I had to figure that out on my own.
Wow, look at that alignment though. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Dream team. Go ahead, Maria. Go ahead.
I think it's just like it's so challenging to be a parent, and I think if you're an educator and a parent, you feel double challenged because you look at things like from different lenses.
Yep.
And I think it's just like, where can we go? What can we do? How can we support everyone? Because everyone needs support, and it may be different in every way. And the one thing that what I really love about our team is that we founded it also in social and emotional
Mhm.
because that's a big part of all of our roles as educators. And what parents sometimes tend to forget, or even educators, is that emotional piece will drive academics.
100%.
And if that piece is not intact, then you have nothing. There's really nowhere to go. And so we're trying to always fix things at such a higher level, but I don't think sometimes we look at the foundational piece.
Yes.
Kids want to do well.
Yeah.
I have yet to be a kid that's like, I don't want to do well. You know what I mean? It's like they want to do well, they want to thrive, but it's like if you're constantly failing and you're not given any other option, what is the motivation and the self-esteem and the confidence to keep going?
Yeah.
Because we break down as adults. So now we're asking younger kids to be able to navigate that on their own. And that's unrealistic.
And also sit in a chair for 8 hours.
Yep. And then they can't fiddle their fingers. They can't chew gum. Don't breathe. Stand still. Freeze. You know, like.
Right. Yes. Did you just sneeze? Wait a minute. What is going on?
Yeah.
But we see it all the time. We
Oh,
laugh,
yeah.
but we hear it as we
Oh,
walk down the hallway. Did you blink? Like,
It's just there's so many pieces that goes into teaching. I think that sometimes teachers forget because they're so bombarded by the day-to-day tasks from administration teams. And I think that passion that brought us to want to be educators gets so quickly burnt out because there are so many behind the scene things that they're responsible for that necessarily parents don't know, right? And it's just hard because it's like you're navigating that in a classroom, but then you're going home and navigating that at home. So when is your break? When do we decompress and when do we self-care? Because when we don't do that as educators, then we can't take care of anyone.
Well, you better say it, girl. Yes, ma'am. Teachers, the requirements from teachers is beyond unrealistic. Like they are the most, like if you look at the whole list of what is expected from a teacher, it's the most unrealistic thing ever because it's like, okay, so when you want me to sleep? Like when I gotta fit in eating where? Like I got kids, you know I got kids at home too, right?
and now let's compare that with their starting salary. There's no
That's-
match. That's not matching.
The math never maps in that area. Ever does it. I feel like a lot of times parents look at teachers as like some kind of force that's like above them, not understanding that they're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Like I think, you know, a lot of times parents get caught up in the fact of like sometimes whether they have a degree or not, whether they even finish, you know, grade school themselves, and they get caught in that aspect of qualification to teach or lead their children's education. So when it is time for their child to go to school, it's like just a trusting of, okay, go in there and they got it because they're experts. They're, you know, they have degrees. They got a bunch of pieces, like Dr. Maria over here. Like, you got a bunch of piece of paper, girl. Like, you whatever you say is golden, okay? It's like, so
No, shit is
parent,
golden though, trust me. Whatever she said.
I like it, yes. But it's just like it's an intimidating factor to parents to advocate on behalf of their children because y'all are seen as the experts already.
I think that the conversations need to change. I think the conversations between educators and parents need to be more of like, we are a collaborative team and like
Yeah.
ideas can be bounced off. You know, we may not always agree on the approach, but there should be that safe, open space to have those conversations because it is a team effort. Like, you know, parents shouldn't feel like they're helping their child in education on their own, and teachers shouldn't feel like there's no parent support at home. It needs to be a collaborative effort, and the effort has to be balanced on both ends. It's not one more than the other. And I know that that's challenging, right? We live in a very high paced society where everyone's overscheduled and we have a million things going on, and realistically, everyone needs to work in order to survive, like in economy wise. So it's like where's our priorities? Where can we even dig to find that time? Because it's challenging. It's not easy. But also I feel like those conversations aren't being had because both sides of the party is afraid to even open up conversations like that. And I think if we come to a place where we can have that nurturing, safe place where parents can be like, this is how I'm feeling, and teachers are like, oh my God, I'm feeling like this too, then we can find some common ground. You know, because again, we don't know everything. We don't know everything as parents, and we don't know everything as educators. And as people who are parents and educators, we don't. There's a lot of gaps that we don't know. You know, and we're trying to fill them in at the same time. And it's nice to hear other people don't know as well, because then now it's like, oh, we have something that we don't know together, and we can figure it out as a team, and it just doesn't rely on one person alone.
Right. Yes. I think like if we looked at this more of like an experiment in sorts of understanding that there's no final answer of any sorts, especially not when it's an individual, like we're talking, because we're all so different. Like we're literally all so different, but they try to box us or, you know, put us in the same, like, oh, you're this, so you fit into this mold. It's like, no, I don't. Like you're making me, but I don't. And so now it's uncomfortable for everybody. But if we were to really like hone in on that individualism and understanding that everyone is going to operate how we operate, and we just need support from our community because we need community, I think that would go a lot, like, you know, somewhere, somewhere. But it's like, how do we get to that comfort level of bridging the gap with the school and the home? Like that's an effort of my organization as well, like trying to bridge that gap with making parents understand that they're just as valued inside of that school as they are at home.
I think that the schools are always going to get parents. Every parent's going to look different, right? You're always going to get new kids that are enrolling. So I would say that the responsibility is on the back of the school. You as a school, what are you doing to nurture the student and the parent? When they walk through the door, are you building a vulnerable conversation with them? Vulnerable conversation is not telling them that, yeah, I think Johnny peed on himself today. No, 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 that's not the vulnerability I'm talking about. Like, how can we help you when Johnny comes home? Is there anything we can give you to take home with you? Like, you know, and not just from the teacher, but from the principal, from the vice principal, from the nurse, right? From um, the gym teacher, not just the classroom teacher. You get what I'm saying? Like it has to be a culture throughout the school, but that's lacking. Why? Because everyone's burned out, right? Because just like us, those same people that populate the school, the staff, they go home and they have families. They're trying to rush home to their students' parent-teacher conference themselves, right? So the individualization starts to lack. Then it becomes cookie cutter. Let me just get a script, right? And then I say this to every parent, and then I have 4 different possible answers, and I know how to plug what words. So then, as the system continues, the vulnerability lacks, the trust lacks, the open conversation, the individualized, tailored conversations, they decrease and they minimize because there's just not enough time, right? In the school
Essentially.
system
Mhm.
to create those individual programs for those students. Just because Johnny's name's on the IEP doesn't mean that whoever wrote that report didn't copy and paste it from Maria's. Like, you get what I'm saying?
That part, because there was a lot of copy and pasting going on. Whole bunch of copy and pasting. And I don't fault anyone. Like,
And you're right. I don't think there's no one to blame. I don't think you can point out to one person. I think we all have responsibilities, and I think that all of us have accountability. And listen, we're not perfect, and we're not always going to meet those. But how can we make it in a place where we can help each other out when one of us needs it? And like for us, that's why we love that we're a team of 3, because what one lacks, the other one has, and then we always support each other in that way. And we don't need to know everything, but we all know something that helps. So, I mean, if, education was this team every single day, I think that would work in everyone's favor. But I think, we're human beings, and I think ego and, jealousy and selfishness, I think all that always gets in the way too, unfortunately. But I think we need to be like, what is the bigger picture, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like these kids will become adults. And what have we done for them to make them feel successful in life? And I don't mean successful like, oh, we're going to like the best Ivy League school. Like, what is their true, authentic success? Have we even tried to find that for them? Giving them opportunities to even explore that. Because again, college is not for everyone. Trade school is not for everyone. Everyone has a different journey. But are we as adults even guiding them to those paths?
I can say our kids, and I mean our kids nowadays, they're not being exposed to what that can look like. A lot of the kids don't know how to make a scrambled egg or be able to call someone if they need help. They don't know. They don't ask them if they know their parents' phone numbers. They don't because they just hit that one button and that's it. Connects them automatically to mom or dad.
They know their address. They click the home icon on Google Maps.
You made me feel good, Maria. Like, girl, my 8-year-old be making omelets, honey. Like, it's like, what? Not scrambled eggs. I'm trying to get her to make my food. I'm trying to build her up. I need a
My
cook.
son, he's 16 years old, and yesterday he goes, Mom, I want to make ground beef. I'm like, oh yes, let's do it. Let me show you how to make ground beef because you're gonna need it, son, and you're gonna need to know how to make ground beef. But they
Gotta eat.
But I remember growing up, home ec was a thing. I remember they taught me how to sew and stitch a button, and they showed me how to cook a scrambled egg and you make things from scratch. Now, in the city that we work in, home ec is no longer a thing. Home ec is no longer a thing. Wood shop is no longer a thing. The only way you can now do like a culinary class or like wood shop is in high school. And by then it's like,
kind of late in the game.
yeah.
Yeah, and they trying to make you, do foreign language, and that takes up a whole year. Like, you don't even get to do like everything you want.
Something that children want to explore instead of pushing them into. Things that they need is like financial literacy. Like, like we're older, taxes. Why do we not learn about taxes? Why are we trying to figure out taxes in our mid-30s? How do we do that? And like we don't even use currency. Like my children may never know what a checkbook is, or even how to balance a checkbook. And it's just like things that are practical life skills that they need are just not being taught. And they're being so reliant on other people and technology. And I'm like, okay, but like you need to be self-sufficient. Like how are you gonna manage as an adult?
Right. And that's why y'all are nurturing growing minds, because
We should hear our slogan.
Go
Go
for it.
ahead.
Oh,
What's the
our
slogan? Yeah.
slogan is together, let's grow, nurture, and succeed one child at a
Nice. Yes. Together. Let's starting with the together. This is a team effort.
It is,
Yes.
it is a team effort. I think it would be foolish to say that only one person can do it.
Right. What? That would be wild. Yes. No, it takes everyone that has that idea, everyone that's like sees a problem and has figured out a solution to that problem. Everyone has to act on those. I always say like we're all purpose for something, like whether it's like whatever whatever it may be. I won't give any of my examples, but everyone's purpose, okay? And we just need to play our roles. I understand that they're all important, no matter how big or small. It's all important. It all ties together, and it all helps for a better future, a better community, better present. Like, I love that you all focus on the social emotional learning because that is, I feel like you said, the foundation, Maria, of an individual. And for us to try to reach or pour anything else into them, they have to be at a level of being able to receive it. And in that sense is the confidence, the security, and being safe in the space that they're in, or having to be able to talk to other adults that they feel safe with. Like all that stuff matters. Very, very much so. And so I'm glad y'all are taking the time to not only, teach the kids and grow and nurture their minds, but also grow and nurture adult minds. Cause we're always learning. Like, don't ever think you've gotten to a place where it's like, oh, I got it all. I don't need anything else. We're never gonna get there, like ever, ever, ever. So always, always, always make sure that you continue to pour into yourself and get the resources for, that are needed because you know what you need. You know what you need. Yes. So, ladies, how do you self-care? Because we talked a lot about the mind and taking care of ourselves and understanding the importance. How do you self-care? Make sure that you're replenished for all that you're doing and pouring out. Anybody can start.
I think for me is, I enjoy reading, so if I can get like just 15-20 minutes to myself a day to read, that would be nice. And I mean like read like, like a trashy like book, like something that has nothing to do with education or childcare. Just something just for fun and pleasure. I think that's just a great way to like just reset because I just feel like I'm making so many decisions every single day, like every second of the day. And I just want time to like unwind. Like I want my mind to just like not think about anything. And I just feel like being able to like, read and go to another place is just nice. It's like a nice way to like decompress because I think it's hard to find time for self-care. I feel like you have to be intentional about it. And if you don't put yourself first, no one else will.
Mm.
And I feel like that to me is one of my biggest struggles.
We're going to Barnes and Nobles after this together.
Good job.
So my way of doing self-care, well, I'm social emotional, right? But I always said that being a parent, the challenging part is knowing when to balance, right? Balance being able to work because you have to pay bills, being mom, right? Because you're mom, being a wife, being a friend, being part of a team, but also knowing to say, okay, I need me time. And how do I do me time? I do a lot of breathing techniques, meditation, mindfulness. I do yoga. Sometimes before I go into work, I sit in my car and I just do breathing techniques before I walk in. Sometimes I sit in my car when I park in front of the house before I go into my second job, which is the kids. It's very important. It's important. And I feel like everyone has their own way. My way is breathing.
So an episode a day keeps the pain away. So I like to watch TV and I like to watch shows that are each episode has to be 45 minutes and up. And I have to go into a show that has many seasons so I could feel like I'm in their world. So I can see the decisions that they make. I'm not making any decisions. I'm just like, Joe, why'd you do that? Like, I don't, so I literally disappear into a whole different reality. That's what I do. I like to watch TV to decompress. Yeah.
Okay, those are all so different, and I love it. Yes. But I like what Maria said. Like, we make a lot of choices throughout the day. And so when you get the chance to just sit down and just not make a choice, breathe, meditate, watch TV, just escape into your world. Like, I'm reading my little novel now too. So it's just like, yes, understanding, it's okay to sit still. Like, let's sit still and do
Yeah,
nothing.
I feel like when you're doing that, I feel like we get judged. We get judged for not being able to do anything.
Yep.
It's like if your day isn't packed and planned down to the minute, like you're doing something wrong. And I was like, no, like, and I don't think that's like a global issue. I think it's like a United States issue.
Yeah.
You go to Europe,
They got it.
yeah,
Everywhere else got it.
yeah. We just haven't figured it out here for some reason.
Island life is different too.
Yep.
It's very different.
It's America.
Yeah.
We're running all the time. It should stay.
Time is
America
money.
runs, not
Everything,
Dunkin' runs.
yeah. It
Yeah.
all equates back to
Dunkin'.
money.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're wasting time, you're wasting money. You gotta get to the bag, gotta hustle, gotta grind, gotta all this stuff that I'm not trying to do. Like, I want to sit down. I want to go sit in the park, okay? I want to play my chess and read a book. I don't know. I don't want to do any of this stuff.
So I feel like, as adults, we should be doing a better job modeling that because I feel like we rush kids because we feel rushed.
Yep.
I mean, I know I do.
Get in the car.
I'm gonna tell you, I am guilty of it because you just feel overwhelmed, right? You have to be at a
Indeed.
certain place at a certain time, and it's just like, kids don't work on that external clock.
They don't
They have the
care.
concept of time. So
They
it's
don't
just like,
care.
They don't care.
They
No,
don't
and
care.
I wish I could not care either, but then it's like, then it's frowned upon, right? Like you didn't show up to a meeting on time, or you weren't prepared, or like, I just feel like there's a lot of judgment. And I feel like if we can get rid of that judgment and be accepting and be like okay with someone's like authentic self, we would have a lot less conflicts. But I just feel like
Yeah.
we're not in that place. So it's really challenging.
We're
That's why you
moving
just
to the
gotta
Caribbean.
ignore. The Caribbean, I'm going. I want to take me. Look, I was writing down, was talking about places to move in Mexico the other day. It's like, I'm open for a lot of things, guys. Like,
Send us that invite, we'll be there.
right? Please, you got my email. Don't leave me out. Don't leave me out. I think the main thing that people need to remember is there's no guide or there's no instruction manual on life. Like there's a bunch of opinions, a bunch of experiences, a bunch of I did this way, I did this. Like there's all of that good stuff. However, every day goes forward in a time where now we're in a technology time, we're in an AI time, we're in a time that we haven't seen before. Like we've never been here. I don't believe I've been here. And so what worked in 1999 or 2012, 2020 is still not relevant to what is going on. What's today? April 22nd, 2025. It's all different. And so understanding that there's no one answer to anything, I think goes a long way. And to ignore the judgment, because I call that noise. Like that noise is always going to be there. People are always going to have opinion. People are always going to judge, all that good stuff, whatever. The way to make it go away is to ignore it. Like, oh, that's cute. Like, ignore it. Keep it going. Because your life is your life. We are all here to walk our purpose, our passion. And I don't know, but I appreciate what you ladies are doing. I do. Thank you for what you have created. Thank you for being a part of the solution. Thank you for being the change. Thank you for all of that. Where do we find inspiring, nurturing, growing minds?
Nurturing minds.
There's a couple like that I have to show, like there's a couple of y'all that have this nurture, like, and I'm like mixing them together, but growing nurtured minds. How
So
do we
you can
find you
us
guys?
on Instagram or on Facebook. We have our email address. We have website, whatever you want, we're there pretty much, except for
Okay.
TikTok. We're loading. We're
Coming.
coming soon. We're coming to TikTok.
Coming soon. No
Yeah.
worries. We'll have all of the links in the description as well. And before I let you ladies go, and this I need from each one of you individually again, I need 3 things like that you want to leave parents with. If they don't hear anything else, hear this. 3 things from each one of you.
Be courage, have enough courage, to do what you feel is right for you. Be forgiving to yourself and to others, and just lead with gratitude.
Mine is laugh. Make sure you stop for every single moment and laugh. Put the phone down. Put the phone down and enjoy your kids. See them for who they are, not through the camera. And just love them. That's all they want, is to be loved.
Ask your kids questions. Get to know them as a person and not your child. Love yourself. Love on yourself, right? And wake up every day trying to discover how you can nurture yourself and your child.
Yes, nurture. Yes, no, I love this. Thank you, ladies, so much. Parents, understand that the resources are available to you. This is not a journey you have to do alone. Life itself is not a journey meant to do alone. No, it's this educational thing. There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of things that are sprouting every single day. New resources, new tools, just everything is being created. So understand that if you're looking for it, it's probably out there. And if it's not, build it, create it, and they will come. But definitely homeschool your kids.